Hi folks, welcome again to my humble kitchen. I've been busy writing today about The Gifts of Solitude, the book that I hope is going to be really helpful to any of those of you who are struggling a bit with the feelings of isolation and maybe feelings of fear during this coronavirus pandemic. So I'm hoping the book's going to come out in early April, but realising that time is of the essence here, I wanted to share some of the content with you in advance of the actual publication date. So today I've been writing about the importance of feeling what we're feeling. Times like this bring up a lot of emotions, feelings of fear, of trepidation about the future, worries over our health, worries about our nearest and dearest, worries about our finances is very present for a lot of us. So there is a lot going on inside, and sometimes we can want to avoid those feelings because a lot of these emotions are not the emotions that we label as good or positive, and we might feel a little bit uncomfortable hanging on to these more challenging emotions. But I think it's really important to actually feel what we're feeling. And there's something that I went through when I was rowing that really brought this home to me. So I had volunteered to be out there on the ocean. Nobody had forced me at gunpoint to get into a rowboat and head out there. And I had been absolutely determined that I was not going to be one of these whingy adventurers who complained non-stop about a situation that they have put themselves into. But it was so hard. The weather when I was doing the Atlantic was the roughest weather, still the roughest weather since records began. Everything was breaking. I had tendonitis in my shoulders and saltwater sores on my bottom, and I was miserable. But I was determined I wasn't going to be miserable, so I put extra pressure on myself, this extra layer, by deciding I was going to appear to be cheerful in my blog posts. I was going to be all stiff upper lip and pretend that I was having a good time. So there was this discrepancy between who I was pretending to be on the outside, cheerful, and how I was actually feeling on the inside, deeply miserable. And after a while of this going on, that was starting to feel really dissonant and just not healthy. And in the end, I remember writing this blog post, I think it was around about day 59, been out there nearly 2 months, where I just admitted, this sucks. I am not having a good time. And, it's scary. And sometimes being scared is a perfectly normal, rational response to the circumstances. And I think this coronavirus is one of those times. If you're feeling scared, that's okay. You might still feel like if you're looking after kids, looking after parents, looking after neighbours, that in front of them you want to put your cheerful face on, and that's fine. But please feel free to admit to yourself when you're feeling fear for whatever reason, and what kind of fear and why that fear is coming up, because it will come up. Emotions do go somewhere. If you don't allow them to surface, if you try and squish them down or to numb them, you'll probably still wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning with those voices in your head having a field day. They are going to get louder the more you try and squish them down and shut them up. So allow them to flow through you. So the idea here is not to give in to them, not to just allow them to run your life, but also not to suppress them. You can sort of think of them like your friends, because, they remind you that you're alive, you're a human being. We're meant to have emotions. So that fear, it's natural. Say hello, fear, old friend. I know you're trying to warn me about the things that I need to be careful of. You're there to remind me that I need to keep washing my hands and keep a safe distance from people. So welcome them in, honour them, respect them, but also don't attach to them, because sometimes especially things like fear and victimhood. We can become really identified with those, really attached to them. And that's also not healthy. So it's like getting this balance between going, hello, fear, you're real, you're present, let's go through this together. You could be my companion, but I'm also not going to attach to you. So if at some point in the future I'm ready to let go of my fear, then I can release you and not just keep dragging you along behind me like a piece of emotional baggage that I don't need anymore. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. I've also just published the written version of that, more or less, on my website at rozsavage.com and on Medium at Roz Savage. And I'll be doing the usual posts. I've also blown the cobwebs off my Instagram account, so you can find me there as well, at Roz Savage. I hope you're bearing up. I hope you're staying well. I hope those around you are staying well. Please know I'm with you. I'm thinking of you. I care about you, and I hope that you get through this okay. And over the next few weeks, I'm going to go on to share how there are gifts in this time if we're willing to look for them. The hardest times can be our greatest teachers. So hang on in there, be brave, and stay connected with me. I'll see you the next time. Bye.